There is a number so dangerous, a city once made it a crime to write it down. And you learned it as a small child. It is 0. The number that once meant nothing, and now runs the entire world. How does the greatest empire on earth rule the world and never once write a 0? How do you turn nothing into a number you can hold in your hand? Why would a banker be terrified of a tiny circle? And how does nothing end up hidden inside every phone on the planet? To see how, you have to go back to a world with no 0 at all. Think about Rome. Roads, armies, an empire that ran for hundreds of years. Now try to write one of their numbers. Just letters. There is no 0 anywhere in it. Their numbers had no sign for nothing. And try multiplying 2 of them on paper. You can't. The letters just pile into a mess. So the smartest people in the ancient world did their sums on a little board of stones. Slide the pebbles, read the answer, wipe it clean. The empire could conquer the world. It could not do the math a 10-year-old does today. Because it was missing one idea. A few clever peoples had crept close to it. To tell 205 apart from 25, you need something to hold that empty middle spot. So some of them left a gap, or drew a little mark just to say, nothing goes here. But that mark was not a number. It was a spacer, a hole in the page. Nobody believed that nothing itself was a thing, that you could pick it up and count with it. Nobody. Until, far away in India, someone did. About 1400 years ago, an Indian thinker sat down and did something nobody had dared. He wrote the rules for nothing. What happens when you add nothing to a number? What happens when you take a number away from itself? He drew it as a simple dot on the page, and he treated that dot like any other number. That was the moment 0 was born. Not a gap, not a spacer. A number with rules of its own. Nothing had become a something. And almost at once, it did something strange. Try to divide by it. Share 10 cookies between 2 people. Easy. Between 1 person, easy. Now share 10 cookies between 0 people. The question falls apart in your hands. There is no answer. The very man who gave 0 its rules tried and got it wrong. Centuries later, another tried and decided the answer must be infinity. Ask any calculator today, and it simply refuses to reply. 0 had opened up all of math, and it had one door that opens onto nothing at all. But first, this little dot had to travel. 0 moved west into the great cities of the Arab world. Scholars there took the Indian numbers and carried them further. One wrote a book whose title gave us the word algebra. His own name, worn down over the years, became another word you know, algorithm. And their word for 0 was sifr. It meant empty. Say it a few times, and you can hear our own word climbing out of it. 0. It also gave us cipher, a secret code. That is how strange this number felt. The word for nothing became the word for things hidden. Then 0 reached Europe, and Europe was not ready. A young man from Italy, raised among Arab traders, wrote a book showing Europe these new numbers. They were better in every way. Faster to write, easy to add in neat columns. They made Roman numerals look like carving in stone. And Europe backed away. A number for nothing? A sign for the void? It felt like a trick, something you should not trust. And the people who trusted it least were the ones who counted money for a living. Because the merchants saw the danger at once. A 0 is far too easy to change. One stroke of a pen and a nothing becomes a 6. Another, and it becomes a 9. and a single quiet zero slipped onto the end of a number turns a small debt into a giant one. So over 700 years ago, in Florence, the money changers were forbidden by law. They were not allowed to use it at all. The number that would one day run every bank on earth was first made illegal by bankers. Zero went underground. And yet, somehow, it won. How? Because it was simply too good to stop. You cannot run the whole world's money on pebbles and letters forever. With zero and its 9 friends, you can write any number there is. Stack them in columns. Carry and borrow and balance a book right down to nothing owed. Quietly, over the years, trade and banking rebuilt themselves on the number they had banned. The little board of stones was thrown away. The outlaw had become the foundation. And then math took zero somewhere new. 2 men, at almost the same moment, built a whole new kind of math on the very edge of zero. They asked a small, strange question. What happens to something as it shrinks toward nothing, but never quite arrives? Chase that question and you get the path of a planet, the curve of a bridge, the way anything at all changes and moves. The science that carried us to the moon is balanced at its heart on getting closer and closer to zero. But the biggest job of all was still to come. Because it turns out nothing has a perfect partner, something. 0 and 1, off and on. And with just those 2, you can write anything. Every word, every photo, every song. This very video you are watching right now is nothing underneath but a long river of zeros and ones. Every computer on Earth, every phone in every pocket. Each one is really just a machine for shuffling zeros. The number a city once made illegal is now hidden inside everything you own. The number that once meant nothing now runs the world. One more thing. I'm Stick. I travel through time to bring you back the best stories. And I was in one of these pictures the whole time, standing right there in plain sight, like a certain number nobody thought to count. Found me? Put the number in the comments. Missed me? I'm still in there. See you in the next one. Next mystery. The history of the Michelin star.